3, 2, 1.
Action.
Action. Welcome everybody. Class number 4. You excited? We're very excited to have everyone here. Wow, what a cool week it's been. We got to do an extra long video with our Kaleo friends. Hopefully you all enjoyed that. And we're going to focus on everything you've been sending us. There's so many great things we want to share. But first we'll do a quick recap of things we've been talking about. So lesson number 1, what did we talk about?
Lighting.
Lighting. And what are some important things about lighting to remember?
That like the glare part, not glare, but like the other, like mush, like.
Oh, having enough light so that it doesn't get kind of grainy and mushy?
Yeah.
And having enough light so that the subject you have is clear and crisp and in focus? Yep. And then our second lesson was composition?
Yeah.
And what does that mean? What are we trying to do with composition?
The way you see it and angle it.
Yeah. So composition is just what makes up that image. Are you looking at something on an angle? Is everything perfectly straight up and down? And really playing around with that. And then the last video we talked about subject.
Yeah, and position.
Position and perspective. Also a little bit about capturing special moments. So with subject and perspective, it's really just finding something you care about and taking interesting pictures of that. So you might have, you remember you went out in the front yard and took some pictures. What did you take pictures of?
Like a cool picture of the grass.
Yeah, so we talked about perspective, and what kind of view would you call that? Like if you're way down low.
Like a bug's eye view.
Yeah, a bug's eye view. So Oliver got really close down in the grass, and that's kind of what like a bug might see as they're walking around, and look at those blades are taller than us.
But they might be smaller, because imagine what it would be like in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, that's a fun movie to watch, and they shrink down to this big. So when we were watching that kind of gave us those ideas of like, well, how would you feel if you were that tiny and you were looking up at blades of grass? So you can see there's inspiration all around, whether it's movies or out in the front yard. You can see lots of cool things. So that was the last lesson, talking about perspective. And we had a lot of cool questions come in, a lot of great pictures. We saw some pictures of you taking pictures of your new baby, or taking pictures of your brothers and sisters, or cookies, pancakes, all that kind of stuff. We had a lot of fun with that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is getting creative. Do these look like photography tools?
No.
Normal camera tools?
Nope.
No, what do you have in your hand?
A spoon.
Oh, that's the thing I always grab when I go to a photo job, is my spoon, right? No, but with these, you can take some really crazy pictures.
I don't see that.
Yeah, so this, here we'll talk through it. So this is a spoon.
It's a breakfast item.
A spoon.
A breakfast
And
item.
one thing you could do is, spoons are crazy, right? So let's see if we can get your head in there. There you go. So it bends around. Look at it this way.
Whoa, it's upside down.
Yeah, right? So just something fun to play with. You can see some crazy examples. This here.
Whoa, the camera's like blue and white.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So let's see if we can get you in here. Make a goofball face. Cool. So it's just different things you can look through and play around with. This is a prism. Some of you may have seen these in class, maybe, in school. But let's see.
Oh, whoa. It looks cool because the
Yeah,
little
so look through it, right?
Whoa.
So these are some fun things you can do, even with just your phone and your tablet.
I have eyes of a spider.
So watch, we take this, And we line it up just right. And here, Oliver, look at that. You can see it almost makes it like it's a reflective floor. So our challenge today is just to have fun and get creative with it. Look at different things you can shoot through, things you can reflect off of, even just your surface of your phone. You can do stuff like that, and it makes a really cool effect in your picture. So what do you think about that?
Those looks cool because it's like there's the light up there, but like there like at those two tops is like orangish, reddish,
Yeah.
and yellow, and then in the corners is green, and then like at the other bottom.
Yeah, so what that's doing, what a prism does, is that refracts light everywhere. And no matter where you turn it, it's always refracting differently, and it's bouncing that light around. So sometimes, here, let me see for a second. I'll take this to a concert, and imagine lights flying everywhere. And you can just take that and just kind of really drastically move things around and play around with it. And it's just a different way to be able to see cool things.
Wait, I'm going to show one of the buttons on
Okay.
the camera.
What button do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about this one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. So I'll hold it and you talk about it.
So this on the camera, you might not have this button, but on this, if you use the macro lens on this side, there's a button with AF and M. So, and then there's a little white dot.
And that stands for autofocus or manual.
Yeah. So if you go on autofocus, this is what it does. You just gently press it, the button, and it will move.
So it automatically focuses when you push the button down.
Yeah.
So what happens if you put it into M?
Well, and if you put it into M,
Manual.
yeah, and then you just do at this part, you just twist it, it will go out.
Yeah.
I like autofocus.
So sometimes it's nice you have that option to go automatic or manual on your focus. Maybe if you're trying to get a tight focus on something and it's having a hard time focusing, you can do it manually, and that really helps you. Now we're going to go into your pictures. So you want to look at some pictures people sent us?
Yeah.
All right. So starting off, we have Spencer and Joseph, and they sent us a few for composition and pancakes. What do you think of that?
They look good.
What does that make you feel?
Hungry.
Hungry. And then there's a nice picture of some flowers. I like how the flowers are kind of coming through at the angle of that picture. That's a nice job there.
From?
These are from Spencer and Joseph.
Oh.
And
Joseph.
and here's some, it looks like poker chips,
Looks
like some coins. And look at how they designed that.
Looks like a star.
Yeah, that probably took some time, huh? So that's a really good example of composition and really composing the right shot. So great job. Next up we have Elijah. Shout out to Elijah.
Yeah. Wait, is that our cousin or someone else?
That's our cousin Elijah.
Ooh.
Yep. Hey Elijah, we miss you. Hope you're having fun in Florida. So here's a picture of some letters and artwork that they have strung across in their room. I really like how it's just that straight line across the top with all that empty space below that. Great job. And then he also did this. Money. And what kind of design does that look like? What character does that look like?
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, does that look like a hidden Mickey? So I like that one, Elijah. And then we have this from Noah.
Oh.
Our other friend Noah, our cousin in Florida as well. And this is an excellent example of perspective. What do you think that is?
A dart. Oh, a dartboard.
So it's like laying on the floor looking up the wall at a dartboard.
Whoa.
Isn't that cool? Very good. And I love how it's perfectly centered across the middle and it's an interesting perspective. So that's a really great
like,
job there.
It looks like an optical illusion.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? All right, next up, we have some pictures that
I took.
Oliver took. Why don't you tell us about these pictures here? Let's start with this one.
Oh, that is a clone trooper, and like I forgot what it's called, but it's like a RTST or something.
How about this one?
Oh yeah, that one is my brother roller skating.
And what did you try and do with this picture?
I did the manual mode, and then I took a picture as soon as he was roller skating.
And so it had a slower shutter speed. Remember we talked about that? And so it kind of creates a motion look, which in this picture it's a really cool effect because Milo was roller skating through the living room, and it just kind of created a nice motion to it. And then this is one more of yours.
Oh yeah, that's sugar.
So what did we do yesterday?
We made cookies. We made sugar cookies.
Yeah, we made some yummy sugar cookies and snickerdoodle cookies.
There was a long one, so we had the dough, and then I made like a hot dog one, and then when it cooked, it was really long.
Yeah, he tried to make a cookie that looked like a hot dog, and then it came out and it was about this big, long and flat. So that was pretty good.
Try to make a.
And here's a picture of Oliver taking that picture. And do you remember what lens you used?
The macro.
Yeah, so he used the macro lens, and we can see the little grains of sugar in there. So that's a great job. A couple other pictures we want to show you. We talked about capturing moments last time, remember? And so you talked about we made cookies. And during that time, there's a lot of cool moments happening. You have to get the ingredients out and set them up. You have to crack some eggs. Did you guys crack some eggs?
Yeah.
Make a little bit of a mess, have a little fun.
Yeah. And the cool part is that when you take it out, unlock it, and then you take it out, you could lick a little piece and it tastes good, even though it's not.
You're licking the batter. How many of you like to lick the cookie dough? Me. So here are a couple pictures of us making these cookies. So here's a picture of sugar, and what I did with this one was have that shutter a little bit slower so that we got the actual motion of the sugar falling through. Here's an egg. So we got a nice close-up shot of an egg, and just trying to do some different perspectives. And then here's you. Who's going on in this picture?
I'm dumping the egg in, and I wanted to do it slow so it would look cool.
Yeah, and that does look cool. And interesting is, we talked about capturing the right moments. There were 3 pictures that I took while they were dumping in the eggs, but not all of them looked this cool. The other ones, the egg was still in the cup. The last one, it was empty, but this one shows it right in the middle as it's dripping. So I selected that one as the one to show. What's Milo doing there?
He's turning it up.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to turn it up a little bit faster on the mixer. And then here is, with the macro lens again, an up close of the measuring spoon. And what do you see on there?
Flour.
Yeah, all that flour kind of sprinkled on. And then the last shot here is a really up close shot with the macro lens of that snickerdoodle cookie.
It looks like from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with the cracks.
Oh yeah, when they find that giant cookie. How about you all? Are you making any fun projects at home? Are you cooking anything, or maybe helping your mom and dad make dinner or bread or desserts? Any kind of fun things? Take pictures of that and send them off to us so we can see them. The next thing we're going to do is go into some questions. We had people ask us questions. I like when they ask questions because it helps me think differently, and it helps us all learn something, right?
Yeah.
So our first question we have from Elijah and he asks, how do you make the camera take pictures close and far away? I don't know where that is on my camera because there are so many buttons. I hear you, Elijah. Look how many buttons there are on this camera.
I know what some of them do.
So what he's asking about specifically is how do we take a picture really close or really far away? And if you have a camera like this, it's all about the lenses that you use. So this is called a telephoto lens or a zoom lens. What does zoom mean?
You zoom in really close.
Zoom in to get closer, right?
Or you
So
go
this
really
lens,
fast.
I can go far or I can go close. So for this kind of a camera, it has to do with the lens that you have. And you turn this and it goes near and far. But if you have a tablet or a phone, how would you zoom in on a camera like this?
You would tap it. Oh wait. Yeah. First you would do the out pin,
Pinch out a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you pinch in. And then there'll be a little slider button, right?
Yeah, you can zoom in.
Yep. So on here, there's a little, if you can push, you can pinch in, or if you do that, it'll put a little slider, and you can zoom in just like that. So that's one way, without having a big fancy camera, you can zoom in and get close and far away. So great question. Thanks, Elijah. The next question we had is from Talia.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
Our awesome artsy cousin Talia down in Florida sent in a question. And it said, what photographers influence you and how? So that's a question that I love to answer because there are so many people. And it doesn't have to be super famous photographers. There's people on Instagram you've never heard of. And I love to look through Instagram and just see all the inspiring new photographers out there. But I do want to share a few of them with you. And these are some people who really, out of all the photographers out there, challenged me, inspired me, and helped me want to do a really good job. The first one is Jeremy Cohort. What do you think of those?
Those are cool.
So one thing that Jeremy Cohort does amazingly is he takes really great portraits, but he does them very creatively. So you see like that ballerina picture in the middle is great. But he uses very interesting things to kind of obscure the picture and make it a little bit different. And I love to get weird with pictures. The next person is Danny Clinch, who we talked about yesterday in our video.
Oh, yeah.
And he takes a lot of musician photos. So you can see there, he kind of just immerses himself in their world and captures things as they're happening. Another great photographer who I love and found early on in the food photography world is David Loftus, and does a really great job of those. Also, some local friends I have, Jesse David Green, who does some amazing commercial photography in the Detroit area and around, but he does really great lifestyle stuff. And what lifestyle means is kind of just capturing products being used in normal day life. So maybe if you're, like say we were taking a lifestyle photography shoot of the KitchenAid mixer that we made their cookies with. Instead of just taking a picture of a boring old mixer, we take a picture of that mixer being used. And so that's what lifestyle photography is. And then lastly, I want to talk about, for people who inspire me, are a couple filmmakers. One is Wes Anderson, who makes some of my all-time favorite movies. Some of the kids' movies are like Fantastic Mr. Fox, where it's all stop-motion animation. But you can see, talk about composition, and look at the composition in that picture. It's almost perfect, right?
Yeah.
You have somebody dead center and two faces exactly on those intersecting points. And he does such a great job with what we call a center shot. And you can see in this picture too. Look at how everything's perfectly center in those images.
Wait, does this guy do the, isn't he like a famous movie director? Yeah. Is George Lucas a photographer?
George Lucas does photography. He's a director. So a lot of those shots you see in the early Star Wars movies, yeah, he kind of created and set those up. This is a guy named Stanley Kubrick. He does not do any kids movies, but he does some amazing composition. And look at how perfect all the lines are there.
No.
All the lighting, everything looks great in that. This is a space movie. And you can see again, there's so much going on in there, and everything's perfectly lit, and everything's perfectly lined up. So, thank you for that great question, Talia. Those are just some of the people. There's thousands of them out there that I love. Well, I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
You have anything else you want to add or tell people?
Oh yeah. I have a question. Like, what does the menu do?
So there's a button on the back of here called Menu. And that gives me all the different options. I can go in there and I can play back, or I can go and adjust some filming options, or what kind of quality I want the pictures to be. I can adjust metering and exposures, and those are some things we'll talk about later. So yeah, it's a good question. That's Menu, and you can go in there and kind of see all the different settings that you want to customize to your own camera.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Mhm.
We got anything else to tell everybody who's stuck at home right now?
Have a great day.
If you're bored at home,
Maybe.
Oliver has some good suggestions for you.
Maybe drawing or designing or like customizing. Or
Yeah.
maybe if you just have roller skates lying around the house and you're
Yeah, we've turned our house into a roller skating rink. I'm sure your house might have some different stuff going on in it too. Let us know and take pictures of all of that. So thank you all again. Don't forget to send us your pictures at the address below. And
bye.
bye.
I'm good.